Welcome to the Zacks Roundtable Review, a discussion of current events affecting investors as well as other topics of financial interest, featuring the analysts and editors of Zacks.com. Well, this week the market will probably take its cue from what goes on in Washington regarding the shutdown potential and the debt ceiling debate. And our experts here are going to weigh in on some possible scenarios that may occur if some other things occur. Tracy Reineck and Todd Bunton, our equity strategists on the panel this week. Senior equity strategist Nick Kalivas joins us as well. So, Nick, I want to start with you. Let's take it from the short term, the short-lived scenario here. You say market's already priced in an 80% chance of a downdraft, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the action today, it's been pretty uninspiring. I mean,
so
I think
far,
as we sit here today, I think the S&P's down about 10 points, which is not too dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
I think the market see both sides as a little bit radicalized, and I think people are kind of expecting a couple-day shutdown. Now, if it gets ugly and really starts to drag on in a significant way, then we'll have to rethink it. But I think right now the markets are fairly comfortable or fairly expecting what's happened.
And that would be a surprise, a prolonged shutdown?
I think if you're 20 days out or something that's longer than 10 days would start to unnerve the growth outlook.
Okay, so Todd, if there is a prolonged shutdown that Nick alluded to, what then in the market? More of a bigger correction?
I don't think so. I know it could shave maybe half a point off of GDP. The government is a big player in the economy, and this is based just on evidence of previous shutdowns. The longest we've had, I think, 17 government shutdowns since 1976. Mm-hmm. But if you look back, 95 to 96, there was a 3-week shutdown. And the market actually, it initially dropped down, but it just kind of floated higher, and it's actually above its pre-shutdown high by the time the shutdown ended in early January 1996. But things are a little different now. Our economy's not rocking like it was in the mid-90s, but
right.
But I don't see it being a huge headwind for the market because people see it as a temporary thing. And if you take the government away, all the stuff with the budget and the debt ceiling, if you take that away, then it's still pretty bullish for stocks with the Fed being super accommodative here. So I think the market sees this as just a temporary cloud, hanging over stocks that's going to clear eventually.
Tracy, as somebody who always searches for value stocks out there, would any type of a downdraft, downturn, mini correction, whatever you want to call it, be a buying opportunity for investors?
I think so. I mean, they have been all this year. Anytime we've gotten 3 to 5% pullback, it has been a good time to buy. It still wouldn't really make me look around for a lot of value because we have stocks have really bid up enough where it'd take a real major correction to get a lot of value stocks back in play. But for some names that you're watching that you feel have kind of drifted out of your range, if we do get some kind of pullback, yeah, it could be a buying opportunity.
You say the debt ceiling is more concerning to you. Why? Because of the potential default possibility it carries with it?
Yeah. I had some talks over the weekend, like with my mother, about the government shutdown, and she's like, how will it affect me? And, unless you are camping in the Grand Canyon right now or something like that, or, you want to get your passport, or maybe we're not quite sure, but some things like getting a home mortgage, if it's FHA, could be delayed.
Maybe the jobs data on Friday.
Jobs data, but these things don't.
If the government doesn't shut down.
Yeah,
right?
but these things don't impact like the everyday person. You're still going to get your mail. You're still going to get your Social Security checks, things like that.
Essential services.
Yeah. So if this lasts like a week or something, it's not that big a deal. But the debt ceiling, that's a whole nother ramification. That, if we default on that, it's never happened. It happens in these other countries where you're like, what are they doing down in Argentina or things like that? But I mean, that's a global economic impact, and that would be scary.
Do you guys agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah. That would be kind of unprecedented, and that would have a domino effect throughout the markets. Where a government shut down for a few days with non-essential services, who cares?
Right. If you're in D.C. and you can't go to the Smithsonian or the National Zoo, you do impact, because I was in D.C. the last time in 95, 96. But everyone else is like, who cares? They're inside the Beltway. We're out here in the
Right.
heartland, you know.
From a
so-
trader's perspective, you agree with that?
Generally, I do. I mean, I think the issue is that the government is probably not able to essentially allocate the interest payments and then kind of forget everything else. I mean, I think if there was a situation that came up when they said, you know, we're going to pay the debt and we're going to prioritize the debt number one, then I think the effect kind of is not as dramatic. But standing here, I think it's going to be hard to think that the government actually could have a mechanism that does that.
So, getting back to the government shutdown situation, do I infer from what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, that as we sit here at the end of another quarter, any negative market impact that a shutdown could have won't really cut into any quarterly profits here in the market?
I don't think so. Not right now. For this quarter, or no. I mean, if it's a couple days, it's not that big a deal, and that's going into the next quarter anyway. So
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Just wanted to be sure I correctly understood that. Well, thank you all for weighing in on this. We'll obviously have to wait and see what happens later in the week. Coming up, though, something you don't have to wait long for, top stock picks. Click over to the next segment.